A brain disease best known for impacting athletes who have suffered concussions on the playing field is showing up more frequently in soldiers returning from the battlefield. Here's CTV's Adrian Gabriel on the vital research.
From the theater of war to the training field, we're now learning more about a combat wound that has remained nearly invisible for decades. Inside the Brain Imaging Center at Toronto's Centre for Addiction and Mental Health, a revealing pilot project on military veterans is underway.
Your brain jiggles around and hits back and forth.
Isabelle Boileau is studying the brains of individuals who've had high exposure to battlefield blasts. She believes some members of our armed forces who've been diagnosed with PTSD may also be suffering from chronic traumatic encephalopathy, also known as CTE. Previously found in hockey and football players, the brain disorder can only be diagnosed after death.
Do you believe we're facing a crisis?
Yeah, in short, it's a crisis. There are certain documented cases of individuals that have died by suicide that have had a proof in brain that they had CTE.
Every 4 to 6 months, somebody that I know, that I'm close to, takes their own life.
Brennan Hine served with the Canadian military for nearly 3 decades. For 11 of those years, he was a member of JTF-2, Canada's top-tier Special Operations Force. Dispatched to Bosnia, Afghanistan, and Iraq, he estimates that he's been exposed to approximately 2,000 explosives.
It's like being in a boxing match each day, pretty much.
While still enlisted, he began to struggle with his focus and temperament. He told his superiors he needed help and was demoted, losing his Special Forces pay and much of the medical support that comes with it.
Well, that institutional abandonment, that's probably one of the greatest predicating factors to the epidemic we see in veteran suicides.
After being discharged from the military, the father of 2 nearly took his own life.
I was going to go home with the kids, and then I'd come up with a plan on how I was going to take care of that, how I was going to end my life.
Veterans Affairs Canada Liz Hayes is likely suffering from CTE. The former Special Forces breacher is using his voice to demand more support from the Canadian military for those suffering from a traumatic brain injury, so those who fought for our country aren't left to fend for themselves. Researchers have put out a call for veterans to volunteer and take part in the brain research project Isabelle Boileau and others are leading. Earlier this week, we reached out to the Department of Defense with a list of questions. They've yet to respond. Adrian Gabriel, CTV News, Toronto.